This next task is on how to use, text manipulation functions in Google Sheets or Excel to maybe modify the way the data is formatted. This is a typical thing that happens to a teacher where sometimes you get a list of students, and the list of students is last name first, separated by commas, instead of maybe first name and last name, or however you want to make it, right? So let's say that but I want first name and then last name, and then I want to alphabetize by the first name instead because it's easier for me, something like that. So I'm going to show you how to do that in one or two different ways. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this list 2 or 3 places because I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it. So to copy it, I just highlighted it, and then I could do Edit, Copy, or you can see here it says Control-C is a shortcut. So I'm going to do Control-C. I'll do Highlight with my mouse, and then I'll do Control-C, and then I go down here to this location, and then I'll press Control-V, which is the paste shortcut, and I get the same list again. Then I'm going to click down here with my left mouse button, and then I'm going to hit Control-V again, and then I now have 3 identical lists here. So I'm going to show you how you can make this list into first name and then last name instead of last name then first name. So the way you do that is you're going to take one example, and then you're going to copy it to the rest. I'm going to show you how to do it with an equation because once you know how to do this equation, it'll make it possible for you to do other equations. Then I'll show you how to use the menus here. Okay. So the first thing to do with a function is usually the way I find a new function is I type a question out on Google and ask, how do I separate a name into 2 separate names or something like that on Google Sheets, and it'll tell me the answer. The answer to this one happens to be a function called split. So the way you use the function is you type equal sign inside the cell here, and then after you do the equal sign is how you start any of the functions or equations, okay? And so since I put the equals here, now I'm going to type split, which is the name of the function or the equation, and then I'm going to put left parentheses, and then it gives me a hint on how to do it. Like it says, oh, the way you split a text is you give it the text, then you give it the separating text, and then this is optional because it's in brackets here. So it's kind of hard to understand this format, but it's easier to understand when you see it being done. So the way you specify the text is you don't type the text out here. You use the power of Google Sheets and you click on the text, and then it fills in the oops, sorry. I'm going to hit escape to get rid of that thing. Let's start with this. Equals, split, left parentheses, and then I'm going to click on the name, and then it fills in the address of the name. As you can see, the name Katarina is in the B26 cell, and so it fills in B26 there, right? Or you could type B26, but it's easier just to click on it. Then you type comma, and then you're going to give it the separating text, which happens to be the comma symbol. And so you want to put the comma symbol in between quotation marks because otherwise it can't tell the difference between a comma, a regular comma, and the text comma. And then you do a right parentheses, and then you hit enter. Okay, and then, oh wow, look what it did. It separated the 2 names into 2 different cells. And now how do I do that for all of them? Well, I can click on Araujo, which is where I put the function, and then I'm going to change the mouse cursor into the cross by putting it in the right bottom corner, and then I'm just going to drag it down, and I'm going to drag it down for the whole list, and now I have done that for the whole list. Now how do I put these together and make it into a one cell with the first name first and then the last name? The way I can do that is I can come over here and I can do a different function called concatenate. So I do concatenate, and then I do left parentheses, and then I click on the first name, and then I type a comma, and then I click on the last name, and then I hit right parentheses. and it put first name and then last name. Unfortunately, it did not put a space between the two. How could I force it to put a space between the two? Between D26 and C26, I am going to put quote, space, quote, comma, and now it will put a comma between the two. Now, how do I do that for all the names? I'm going to put the cursor in the right bottom corner, and then I'm going to turn it into a cross, and I'm going to copy it all the way down. And then that gives me all the names with the first name first. And if I want to copy this somewhere, I just do Control-C and Control-V, and now I have the same list of names all in the right order, the order that I wanted. Okay? There's another way to separate them, which might be a little easier. If you highlight here, and then you go up to Data, then you can do Split Text to Columns. And then if you do that, it'll automatically do it with one click, and now they're already separated. Okay, and you can see that it actually separated the list. So the original list was all together with commas, and this one is now all separately. You've kind of lost the original list by doing this. Okay, and then if you want to concatenate them so that it comes out to be first name, first space, and then last name, then you do the exact same thing you did here. Okay. One thing I forgot to do was I forgot to show you how to order this list. And let's see, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new list, which is not a bunch of equations. Do you see when you click on these names, it's not really the name there. It's an equation that says equals concatenate blah, blah, blah. And this could get really messy if I try to like order this list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new list, which is just a text list. And I'm going to highlight this list, which is a bunch of equations. And I'm going to Control-C to copy it. And then I'm going to go over here to this cell that's 2 columns over, and then I'm going to do a edit, paste, special, and then I'm going to paste values only. And when I do that, it's going to make an identical, it looks completely the same, right? But when I click on Catarina Araújo here, it's actually the words Catarina Araújo. And if I click over here, it's actually an equation, okay? So this one that is actually just text, I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to alphabetize it by the first name. And the way I do that is I go to Data, and then I do Sort Range. And I'm just going to say I'm going to subsort it by column H, and I want it in the order A through Z. And obviously, if there's numbers and stuff, you can sort it in a way that is not alphabetically. So I'm going to do a sort, and then now I have a list that is sorted alphabetically.